With the two top clubs not playing this weekend, it's a chance for the rest of the Premier League to steal the limelight. That's right, we're back with another Premier League Predictor, this time midweek edition. It actually makes it lots more difficult for me because I've got to try and get an episode of this out pretty sharply after the Premier League last game week has ended. So thanks for that, fixture list. On a plus side, I think every single game is on Amazon Prime this midweek game week, so I'll be able to watch whichever game I want, which would be nice. First up, let's take a look at my Game Week 11 results. So I had an ish week, if I'm honest with you. The ones where I didn't get the result correct are partly where I kind of took a gamble, and on other ones were just kind of shock results, really. I didn't expect Brentford to get the win against Brighton, and I definitely didn't expect Liverpool to get the win against City. By the way, that Mo Salah goal was gorgeous. What a touch for that goal. That was absolutely brilliant. But I did get 6 correct results this week, getting me 6 points, taking my season total up to 68. And the ones I got right, I'm pretty happy with, really. They're pretty decent predictions, kind of straightforward, really, for the most part. The United Newcastle game I didn't get correct. The Southampton West Ham game didn't get correct either, because I expected a win for West Ham there, but maybe shows quite where West Ham are at the moment, drawing Southampton. I think it was a draw, wasn't it, to Southampton? But yeah, overall, pretty decent week. Remember, guys, this is the series where you compete against me, so make sure you're getting your predictions in as this video goes along. As you're hearing my thoughts on each game, get your prediction down in the comments. And yeah, let's see how you guys got on last week with the subscriber results. Ben topped our table in Game Week 11 with 14 points, 2 scores, 4 results. Wilf, Timo and White Noise all got 8 points with 1 score, 3 results. And then myself sneaking in at 3rd position with 6 points as well, which was 6 straight results. Jossel got 4, Stuyben got 5, and Annie got 3. Remember, guys, if you want to be a part of the series, you need to get your comment in before the start of the first game. If you're a little bit late, it's absolutely fine. Just do the games that haven't kicked off yet. Because then it just makes it fair, essentially. Because otherwise, you're just predicting a result you already know. And yes, I've had a mop chop. The mop has gone. I got my money's worth, to say the least. You'll see in a couple of videos over the next couple of weeks, the hair will randomly grow back because I've recorded them in advance. But rate the trim out of 10. Stuyben's giving it a -3. As I mentioned at the start of the video, Game Week 12 sees one fixture not going ahead. Arsenal versus Manchester City is not getting played this midweek because I believe there is an Arsenal fixture from Europa League that's getting replayed or something like that that's been postponed, and they've rescheduled it for this week. So Arsenal can't play 2 games too close together. So Arsenal versus City is postponed, meaning there's a lot of teams that could shine in this week. In the normal game week, we're just focusing on Arsenal winning and City winning. But this week, we could see a couple of teams on this sheet pull off a decent result and get the press talking about them. First up, are my tip to be the team that we'll be talking about by the end of this game week. Brighton versus Forest. I only see this going one way. It's going to be a Brighton win, and I've gone for 3-0. I think Brighton are going to dominate this game, and I think that we'll be talking about how good Brighton's side is by the end of this week. So it'll be such a convincing performance that they'll stand out amongst the crowd this week. I hope that's the case anyway. But yeah, 3-0 win for me. I've actually done my fantasy football today, and I used my free hit, which is where you can change as much in your team as possible, and it'll go back to what it was the week after. And I've changed to a lot of Brighton players. I've got a couple of Brighton players in there because I think they're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think they're going to get a decent amount of goals against Forest. Wolves got a decent win this week with the Ruben Neves goal, and I think they're going to build on that going forward into Game Week 12. They're up against Crystal Palace away from home, but I think Wolves have probably started a little bit of momentum now, and they're going to start to build their 22-23 legacy going forward. I think they're going to probably get a decent run of results on the lead up to the World Cup, and then hopefully come back much more refreshed and perform a bit better than they did in the early parts of this season. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Wolves in this game. I just see it happening. I don't see Crystal Palace really having much against Wolves. It's going to be tight, but I think Wolves are going to pip it. With the Arsenal versus City game being postponed, we move on to Bournemouth versus Southampton. This is going to be a pretty boring game down the bottom end of the Premier League, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, Southampton got a draw up against West Ham, I believe, this weekend just gone, and that maybe shows more where West Ham are than where Southampton are, if I'm honest. I think it's going to be reasonably straightforward for Bournemouth. I think they will get the win. I've not gone for a massive score. I've gone for 1-0. I think that Bournemouth will nick it, and I think I'm going to go for a Solanke goal. Why not? He's on pretty good form at the moment. But yeah, I think that Bournemouth will nick this game, but it's going to be one of those games that we're not going to really be bothered about trying to watch on Amazon Prime, let's put it that way. A team that were on TV this weekend, Chelsea, are playing very well at the moment. In particular, Mason Mount is dominating that midfield and is coming into great form ahead of Gareth Southgate's selection for the World Cup squad. If Mason Mount is not on the plane, I will be shocked, because he has had a great bit of form recently. Someone who hasn't is Tyrone Mings for Aston Villa, who made an absolute blunder in that game and pretty much gave away a goal. It was very embarrassing, the first goal for Mount in that match against Villa at the weekend. Up against the Brentford side, who did win at the weekend against Brighton, but I think Chelsea are probably going to be too much. I've only gone for 1-0. I think it's going to be quite a tight game, but Chelsea don't seem to win games by multiple goals at the moment. They are like 1 or 2 goals mainly. And I think that it's going to be a matter of Chelsea nicking a goal at some point in the game and then just shutting up shop, keeping possession and trying to just stop Brentford getting any sort of counter-attack or anything like that. Liverpool are, as in form as you can possibly get at the moment after winning against Manchester City at the weekend 1-0 thanks to a Mo Salah goal. Mo Salah's touch for that goal, I still can't get over it. It was such a good bit of skill to take it away from the defender and finish tidily. He had actually missed a one-on-one just before that, hadn't he? Which wasn't ideal, but he made up for it and got Liverpool the win. They're going up against West Ham, who are slightly on the rise, but are still not really with it. However, I feel like they're going to step up against a big opposition. It's the chance for West Ham to really stand out this weekend. They're playing against probably one of the higher performing teams and the teams that are going to have the most eyes on them this weekend. I think with it being on Amazon Prime as well, there's going to be a lot of people watching. I think this is probably going to get the fixture, probably going to be the fixture that gets the most views alongside United Spurs probably. It's definitely got a lot of talking points this weekend. I think that West Ham will live up to that expectation and live up to the occasion a little bit and really put in a good fight. But I think Liverpool will come out on top in the end. I'm going for a bit of a big score. I've gone for 3-2. I think it'll be a messy game, a quite aggressive game as well. But at the end of the day, West Ham aren't performing enough to pull off an upset against Liverpool right now. I keep backing Newcastle every single week, and finally they will get me a point here, I think, in Premier League Predictor. Obviously, last week up against Manchester United, arguably they should have lost the game. United potentially should have had a penalty, and there's an argument for them having a goal that was disallowed against Ronaldo for a bit of cheeky play that he did there. But this week, Newcastle up against Everton, it's only going to happen one way, and it's the most convincing result that I've gone for this weekend. I've gone for Newcastle 4, Everton 0. I think it's going to be very straightforward at St James's Park for Newcastle this week. I keep saying weekend, it's midweek. This midweek fixture, I think, it'd be straightforward. It's going to be straightforward. I don't see there being an issue for Newcastle in this one. A convincing 4-0. Next up, arguably the joint biggest game of the game week alongside the Liverpool versus West Ham game is Manchester United versus Spurs. Two teams that are really going at it. Conte has done a pre-match conference today as of recording this, and has talked highly about Ten Hag and has talked about wanting to work with Christian Eriksen again and stuff like that. So he clearly thinks highly of this Manchester United squad and managerial structure. But are Manchester United really good enough to take on Spurs right now? I don't think they are. I think it'll probably be quite one-sided. It's going to be a lot of defending on Manchester United's part in this fixture. Erik ten Hag will have to set them up very defensively and very structured to be able to get anything out of this game on the counter-attack. I don't think United have got what it takes to take anyone on the counter-attack right now. So I'm going for a Spurs win. I'm going for 1-0 to Spurs. Probably it'll be like a penalty or something like that, or a scrappy goal. I don't think it's going to be convincing from Spurs by all accounts, but I do think that they're going to win this game, and I don't see United putting up too much fight against Tottenham's defence. It's all going to be Tottenham's attack against United's defence. They'll hold out for so long, but eventually a scrappy goal will get through. Next up is Fulham versus Aston Villa. Fulham managed to get himself a decent draw against Bournemouth this weekend, and Aston Villa, they lost to Chelsea, but it wasn't an awful performance, if I'm honest with you. Chelsea got the win, but a couple of moments of, well, one moment of complete horror from Tyrone Mings, and then a decent free kick from Mount. So you could argue that Aston Villa didn't perform awfully. Fulham performed all right as well, nothing special particularly. I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw here. This is my board draw of the week. I think this will be very straightforward. Both teams not really wanting to push too hard for it, because they don't want to drop points against someone who's potentially going to be in a relegation battle with them at the end of the season. So yeah, I think it'll be very much a bit of a board draw. It'd be the typical board draw, actually. Every week, I think Leicester City are on the rise. Every week, I think that Leicester City are going to bring it back. This very much goes against my fantasy football selection, if I'm honest. So I'm either going to do well in Premier League Predictor this weekend, or I'm going to do well in fantasy football. I'd prefer Premier League Predictor, but there we go. I've gone for a Leicester City win at 2-1. I think that's an ambitious, and it's very ambitious, if I'm honest with you. Leicester aren't great at the moment. They got a draw against Crystal Palace, but Leeds, what did Leeds do at the weekend? Leeds lost to Arsenal. If anything, this prediction's utterly awful. I made these graphics in advance, then I talk about them after. I don't know what came across my head when I decided to go for Leicester City 2, Leeds 1, but there must be a reason behind it. I don't know what it is, because frankly, if anything, Leeds are probably more likely to win. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I made these graphics last night, and there was clearly something on my mind that made me want to go with Leicester. So we'll back them again and get a red in the results next week, because every time I back Leicester, they never win. So here are the Matt Ayres predictions for the midweek game week 12 matches in the Premier League this week. We got Brighton to win 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace to lose 2-1 at home to Wolves, Arsenal and Man City as a postponed fixture, Bournemouth to win 1-0 against Southampton, Brentford to lose 1-0 at home to Chelsea, Liverpool to win 3-2 against West Ham United, Newcastle to walk away with it 4-0 against Everton, Tottenham to be the visitors at Old Trafford and win 1-0, Fulham and Aston Villa is our board draw of the week, and Leicester City to win 2-1 against Leeds. So those are my predictions, guys. I think you could probably rip them to shreds this week. I think the Leicester one is very ambitious. And the Liverpool-West Ham game, if that scoreline actually happens, then I'm a genius, if I'm honest. If you enjoyed the video, please hit it with a massive thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you are new, with your notifications turned on, so you know when the video goes live and you can get your predictions in. And I'll see you in the next one.